At my daughter's wedding, her groom, showing off his elite status, kicked me out into the yard at Fortigriff. "You're not worthy of sitting with us, you simpleton." The guests laughed. My daughter remained silent, and I just smiled, hiding my secret. Suddenly, someone in the crowd pointed at me and shouted, "He's a billionaire!" The groom dropped his glass. This is not revenge. This is justice. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I sat alone at the table, watching the door. 20 minutes now. The hostess approached with an apologetic smile, menu tucked under her arm. "Would you like to order while you wait, sir?" I shook my head, gripping my phone tighter. "He'll be here." She nodded and retreated. Around me, the restaurant hummed with quiet confidence. Business suits leaned across white tablecloths. Polished shoes crossed beneath chairs. Laughter rolled out in practiced waves. I'd built something from nothing over 40 years, but none of that showed today. My Target dress shirt felt crisp enough, my slacks pressed, my hands scrubbed clean of the oil that usually lived under my fingernails. Still, I knew what I looked like sitting here. The Ford F-150 in the parking lot, 15 years old but running strong, told its own story. The door swung open. Nicholas walked in first, Cora half a step behind. No apology in his stride, no hurry in his movements. He wore his suit like armor, expensive fabric draped perfectly across his shoulders. His watch caught the light when he raised his hand to signal the hostess. She rushed over. He spoke without looking at her. "Reservation for Whitmore." Cora spotted me and waved, her smile too bright, too nervous. They crossed the room. Nicholas extended his hand without meeting my eyes, his grip brief and dismissive. "Orval, traffic was murder." No apology there either. I stood, shook his hand, felt the calluses on mine catch against his smooth palm. He pulled back quickly. "Nicholas, good to finally meet you." Cora leaned in for a hug. Her perfume smelled expensive, unfamiliar. "Hi, Dad. Thanks for coming all the way downtown." "Wouldn't miss it." We settled into our chairs. Nicholas placed his BMW keys on the table beside his phone, casual as breathing. The waiter appeared instantly. "Gentlemen, ladies, can I start you with something to drink?" Nicholas ordered a scotch, neat, named the brand like it mattered. Cora asked for wine. I requested water. Nicholas glanced at me, something flickering across his face. Amusement, maybe. Pity. "Come on, Orval, have a drink. Celebrate. Our treat." "Water's fine." The waiter left. Cora launched into wedding talk, filling the silence with venue options and color schemes. Nicholas listened with half his attention, his eyes wandering to other tables, checking who else occupied this space. When she paused for breath, he turned to me. "So what do you do, Orval?" The question landed soft but deliberate. Cora's spine straightened. "I work in automotive repair. Been doing it 40 years. His posture shifted. The smile changed, gained edges. "Oh, a mechanic. That's honest work." The pause before honest carried more weight than the rest of the sentence combined. Cora jumped in too fast. "Dad's really good at what he does." "I'm sure he is, honey." Nicholas draped his arm across the back of her chair. "Everyone has their place in the economy. Someone's got to keep our cars running, right?" He laughed. Cora laughed with him, not meeting my eyes. I stayed quiet, watching them together. Her hand found his on the table. She squeezed. The waiter returned. Nicholas ordered first, something elaborate off the upper section of the menu. Cora chose the salmon. When my turn came, I scanned the prices and selected the pasta, second cheapest item available. "Don't be shy, Orval." Nicholas gestured broadly. "Get whatever you want. Don't worry about the price." His generosity felt like a test. I smiled. "Pasta sounds perfect." Throughout the meal, Nicholas dominated the conversation. He talked about his financial consulting firm, the clients they'd landed, the markets they were watching. His vocabulary shifted when addressing me versus Cora. Simpler words, slower explanations. People who work with their hands versus people who work with their minds. It's just different skill sets, you know? Both important, just different. Cora nodded along, her embarrassment radiating across the table. She couldn't look at me directly anymore. Nicholas pulled out his phone twice during dinner, scrolling through messages, showing Cora photos of the venue. He angled the screen away from me, a subtle exclusion. When she asked a question about the ceremony space, he answered in detail, describing features I couldn't see. We'll keep the budget reasonable, he said, still scrolling. Don't want anyone feeling stretched. His eyes flicked to me when he said it, the meaning crystallized in the air between us. Cora touched his arm. We're being smart about it, Dad. You don't need to worry. I'm not worried. Nicholas set his phone down. Speaking of which, we should probably handle most of the planning ourselves. Keep things simple. Your dad probably doesn't have experience with these higher-end venues and vendors. No offense, Orval. Just being practical. None taken. But Cora took offense for him, her cheeks flushing. Nick's right, Dad. We've got it under control. You don't need to worry about anything. Just show up and enjoy, okay? I cut into my pasta, chewed slowly, swallowed. Watched my daughter choose her side in real time. The decision I'd been weighing all evening solidified. I needed to see how far this would go, how deep the disrespect ran, how blind Cora had become. I'll be there, I said, looking directly at her. Wherever you need me. Always have been. The check arrived. Nicholas grabbed it before the waiter finished setting it down. I've got this one. You've probably got enough on your plate. The emphasis on enough hung there, deliberate. Cora smiled at him, grateful, affectionate, didn't acknowledge my presence at all. We walked to the parking lot together. The evening had cooled, downtown Denver settling into its nighttime rhythm. Nicholas clicked his key fob and his BMW chirped twice. Then he saw my truck. His eyebrows rose. That's your ride? Well, at least it runs, right? He laughed like he'd made a joke. Cora laughed too, smaller, uncertain. I unlocked my door. Runs great, built to last. I climbed in, started the engine. They stood together beside his BMW, his arm around her waist, watching me back out. In my rearview mirror, I saw him lean down, whisper something in her ear. She nodded. I sat in the parking space, hands on the steering wheel, engine idling. Nicholas's BMW pulled away, Cora in the passenger seat. She didn't look back. My phone buzzed against the console. Her name lit up the screen. I stared at it, already knowing this wouldn't be pleasant. The phone buzzed again, insistent. I let it ring twice more before reaching for it. Already knew what this was. I pulled out of the parking lot instead of answering, drove through downtown Denver's familiar grid. Streets I'd navigated for decades, past buildings I'd watched go up and come down. The city changed around me while I stayed constant, steady. I passed one of my shops on Colfax, lights still on in the bay windows. Carlos probably finishing up a late job. Then another on Federal, closed for the night, security lights casting shadows across the lot. I noted them without attachment, the way you notice old photographs on a wall you pass every day. Arvada welcomed me with quiet streets and modest houses. Mine sat halfway down the block, small and neat. The 15-year mortgage paid off 8 years ago. I pulled into the driveway, cut the engine. The house Elizabeth and I had bought together, raised Cora in, made a life around. She'd decorated the living room with care, chosen every piece of furniture deliberately. 12 years since cancer took her. The room still looked exactly as she'd left it. I sat on the couch she'd picked out, afternoon sunlight streaming through windows she'd insisted face east. The phone buzzed again. Different pattern this time. Voicemail. I waited another 5 minutes, letting the silence settle around me before calling Cora back. She answered on the first ring. Dad. Her voice carried tension like a wire pulled too tight. No greeting, no warmth. Hey, sweetheart. Sorry, just got home. What's going on? We need to talk about tonight. No preamble. No acknowledgement of what had happened at dinner. Straight into attack mode. Okay, I'm listening. You can't act like that around Nicholas's business associates. I shifted the phone to my other ear. Act like what? I barely said 10 words? Exactly. You were so quiet. It was awkward, Dad. Nicholas noticed. His friends will notice. These people are important for our future. The hour didn't include me. I understood that clearly. I was being polite, letting you two talk about your wedding. It's not just about being polite. Frustration bled through her words now. Nicholas comes from a good family. His parents have connections. This wedding matters. I need you to understand that. I understand. Do you? Because tonight you seemed... She paused, searching for the word. Uncomfortable. Out of place. And that makes me uncomfortable. The accusation stung more than anything Nicholas had said. I stood, walked to the window, looked out at my workshop in the backyard. Tools organized on pegboards, projects in various stages of completion. My real office, the one that mattered. What do you want from me, Cora? I need you to blend in. Don't talk about work. Don't mention money or the lack of it. Just smile and nod and let Nicholas and his family handle things. Silence stretched between us. Outside, the neighbor's dog barked twice. Do you know what it's like? Her voice cracked. Constantly making excuses for having a father who's just a mechanic. Just a mechanic. The words landed like broken glass on tile, sharp and scattered. I said nothing. Let them sit there. Let her hear what she'd said. Dad, I'm here. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. She exhaled hard. Nicholas mentioned you seemed uncomfortable tonight. He thought maybe you'd prefer a smaller role in the wedding. Less pressure on you. A smaller role in my only daughter's wedding. Don't be dramatic. We're just trying to make this work for everyone. You don't understand what this life is like. Nicholas's friends, his colleagues, they judge everything. Where you went to school, what your parents do, what car you drive. I'm finally in that world, and I can't have you messing it up. Messing it up. Is that what I did? Mess up her life by existing? I didn't ask the question aloud. Instead, I moved to the kitchen table, pulled out the notebook I kept for project notes, started writing while she talked, documenting every word. That's not what I meant, she continued, backtracking but not apologizing. Nicholas has standards. His family has expectations. Can't you just be less visible? For me? I finished writing, set the pen down carefully, made my voice steady as a surgeon's hand. Here's what I'll do. I won't tell Nicholas about my business. Won't mention numbers or success. I'll let him think exactly what he thinks now. Relief flooded through the phone. Really? You'd do that? On one condition. She hesitated. What condition? You give me time. Let me see how Nicholas treats a father-in-law he thinks is beneath him. Watch how he acts when he believes I'm nobody. Really watch, Cora. Then ask yourself who you're marrying. Silence. Long enough that I wondered if she'd hung up. Then, fine. But you'll see. Nicholas is great once you get to know him. Tonight was just nerves, wedding stress. Maybe. Thank you, Dad. This means so much. You'll fit in great, I promise. She didn't understand what she'd agreed to. Didn't realize she'd just consented to her own father's test. That was fine. Better even. I should go, she said. Nicholas is calling on the other line. Sure. Good night, sweetheart. Night, Dad. The line went dead. I sat at the kitchen table, notebook open in front of me. Added one more line beneath the dinner conversation notes. Wedding planning meeting. Wait for invitation. I poured myself a single glass of whiskey. Rare for me, stood at the window again. The workshop glowed faintly in the darkness, familiar and solid. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to Marcus Chen's contact, my attorney, hovered over his name without pressing call. Not yet, just noting the option, keeping it ready. On the mantel, a photograph stared back at me. Cora at 10 years old, both of us covered in motor oil, laughing at something long forgotten. She'd helped me rebuild an engine that summer, insisted on learning every part, every function. Her hands had been small then, careful, eager. That girl knew what I did mattered, knew who her father was. This woman on the phone tonight didn't know me at all anymore. I made my decision standing there in Elizabeth's living room, whiskey warming my throat. I'd attend this wedding, play the role of poor mechanic father perfectly, let Nicholas reveal himself fully, let Cora see exactly what she was choosing, give her every chance to wake up before it was too late. And if she didn't wake up, well, I'd built 12 businesses from nothing. I could build a lesson too. My phone buzzed on the table. Text message. Unknown number. Orville, this is Linda Whitmore, Nicholas's mother. We'd like you to join us for wedding planning next month. April 15th, our home. 6 p.m. sharp. Sharp. Even the mother started with subtle jabs. The word choice deliberate, instructional. Be on time. Don't embarrass us. I read it twice, let the implications settle. Then typed back, I'll be there. Sent it. Set the phone down. Picked up my pen and added to the notebook. Whitmore family meeting, April 15th. Observe dynamics. Document everything. The game had started whether I wanted it or not. Might as well play it well. 3 weeks passed like slow water. April 15th arrived with clear skies and my GPS guiding me through Cherry Hills Village, where even the mailboxes looked expensive. Streets curved through neighborhoods where homes started at 2 million and climbed from there. Private security signs stood like sentries on manicured lawns. Designer landscaping framed every driveway. The Whitmore residence spread across its lot like a declaration. 2-story colonial, white columns, circular driveway wide enough for 3 cars. I parked my F-150 behind Nicholas's BMW and a silver Mercedes SUV that probably belonged to his parents. Cut the engine, sat for a moment studying the house that raised the man my daughter wanted to marry. I walked to the front door, rang the bell. Chimes echoed inside, some classical melody I didn't recognize. Linda Whitmore opened the door, looked past me to my truck, her eyebrows rising a fraction. "You found us. Come in." No greeting, no handshake, just acknowledgement of arrival and dismissal in the same breath. The interior screamed wealth louder than the exterior. Crystal chandeliers hung from ceilings that soared 12 feet high. Marble floors reflected light from windows dressed in silk curtains. Art covered the walls, the kind you see behind velvet ropes in museums. Everything positioned perfectly. Nothing out of place, nothing comfortable. The living room opened to my right, everyone already seated. Nicholas and Robert Whitmore in matching leather armchairs, Cora and Linda on a cream sofa that looked too expensive to actually sit on. Wedding planner materials spread across the coffee table, venue photos, catering menus, flower arrangements in glossy folders. One seat remained, a stiff dining chair someone had brought from another room, placed slightly apart from the grouping. An afterthought. I took it without comment. "Now that we're all here," Linda began, her tone suggesting I'd kept them waiting despite arriving exactly at 6. "We've narrowed the venue options. The Manor House in Aurora. It's where proper families celebrate." Robert nodded, his silver hair perfectly styled, his suit probably worth more than my truck. "Waited 3 months to get that date. They don't take just anyone." The conversation flowed around me. Flowers, music, ceremony timing. I listened, noted details, stayed quiet, played my role exactly as promised. Then Linda shifted topics. "Budget." Nicholas mentioned 50,000 total. Very reasonable for a wedding of this caliber. I saw my opening. I'd like to contribute, help with costs. The room went silent. Nicholas exchanged glances with his parents. Something passed between them, quick as electricity. Nicholas smiled, condescending and practiced. "That's thoughtful, but we've got this covered. Wouldn't want you to stretch yourself." Linda leaned forward, voice dripping false sweetness. How sweet that working people want to help, too. "But this is rather expensive, Orval. Perhaps you could handle something smaller? The guest book, maybe?" Robert set his drink down, ice clinking against crystal. "So this auto shop of yours, how many employees? Just you and maybe one other guy?" "It's bigger than that. Been building it for decades." Robert laughed, actual laughter, like I'd told a joke. "Building, that's optimistic. Most small shops barely break even. Overhead, insurance, equipment costs. You're probably treading water." Nicholas joined in, tag-teaming. "Cora mentioned you do oil changes, brake work. Basic stuff. Nothing wrong with that. Someone has to do it." Cora sat beside him, studying her phone screen, pretending the conversation wasn't happening. Her silence cut deeper than their words. I watched my daughter disappear into herself, choosing invisibility over defense. Linda stood. "I'll get coffee." She left the room. I leaned forward slightly, examined the wedding materials on the table. The Manor House brochure showed gardens and ballrooms, price sheets tucked inside. 50,000 total. I filed the number away. Robert stood too. "Let me show you the study." I followed him down a hallway lined with family photographs. His study featured a wall of business awards, plaques, framed photos with local politicians and business leaders. A subtle flex, showing me what success looked like in his world. 23 years building my consulting firm," he said, gesturing broadly. "Started with nothing. Well, almost nothing. Had some family connections. Made something of myself." "Impressive. You understand the pressure. Providing for family. Maintaining standards. Nicholas learned from watching me. He knows what it takes." We returned to the living room. Linda served coffee in fine china cups, delicate things with gold trim. Everyone got matching sets except me. She handed me a plain mug, the kind contractors use on job sites. She didn't apologize or explain, just set it on the side table near my afterthought chair and moved on. The evening wound toward its conclusion. Nicholas pulled out his laptop, opened a file. We're doing something interesting with the seating arrangement. He turned the screen toward his parents and Cora. Angling it away from me, I saw the edge of a floor plan. Premium guests, business contacts, family friends will have the main floor. Best view of the ceremony, closest to the reception area. He pointed to another section I couldn't quite see. And we'll have a separate area for everyone else, more casual. Linda nodded approvingly. It's about maintaining standards. You understand. Nicholas looked directly at me for the first time all evening. You'll be comfortable there, less formal, less pressure to, keep up appearances. I understood perfectly. They were segregating me, publicly marking me as lesser, creating physical distance to match the social distance they'd already established. I stood. I should go. Thank you for having me. Polite handshakes all around. Cora walked me to the door. Wouldn't meet my eyes. It'll be a beautiful wedding, I said. Thanks for understanding, Dad. About the seating, it's just logistics. Sure. I walked to my truck, climbed in, started the engine, sat there with it running. The Whitmore house lit up behind me like a stage set. Pulled out my phone, scrolled to Marcus Chen's contact, my attorney. 15 years of business together, every contract and property deal running through his office. I hovered my thumb over his name. The porch light flicked off behind me. The Whitmores were done with me for the night. I tapped the screen. One ring. Marcus, it's Orville. I need to see you tomorrow. It's important. The next afternoon, I walked into Marcus Chen's law office in downtown Denver. 16th floor, mid-size firm, the kind that handles serious business without needing marble floors to prove it. The receptionist recognized me, smiled, waved me straight through. Marcus's office overlooked downtown, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the city I'd worked in for 40 years. He stood when I entered, concern crossing his face. In 15 years, I'd never requested an urgent meeting for anything personal. Orval, sit. What's happening? I took the chair across from his desk, laid it out methodically. My daughter's engagement, the fiancé's family, the escalating disrespect building toward something I couldn't ignore anymore. Marcus listened, taking notes on a legal pad, his expression shifting from concern to understanding. You want to protect Cora, he said when I finished. From herself. From a mistake she can't see yet? He set his pen down. What are you thinking? Transfer ownership of all 12 Hicks Auto Service locations to Cora as a wedding gift. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That's substantial. With a condition. If the marriage dissolves within 3 years, everything reverts to me. He leaned back, fingers steepled, processing. That's a conditional gift deed with a reverter clause. Legal in Colorado, but complicated. We're talking about what? $8.5 million in total business value? Approximately. Heavy tax considerations. Timing becomes critical. He pulled out a fresh legal pad, started sketching structures with arrows and boxes. If Nicholas discovers this before the wedding, he'll treat Cora very differently. Are you sure you want that reveal to happen after? I'm sure. Marcus drew more connections, thinking aloud. We prepare the documents now, but date them to take effect the day after the wedding. Protects Cora's ownership from any claims Nicholas might make during the engagement. Also establishes clear proof this is your property, gifted voluntarily, not a marital asset. How aggressive is the 3-year clause? Very. Most conditional gifts use 5 or 10 years. You're banking on Nicholas showing his true nature quickly. I met his eyes. He already has. I'm just making sure there's a record when everyone else sees it too. Marcus studied me for a long moment. Orval, this is a sophisticated legal trap. If Nicholas realizes what you've done, he could claim you manipulated Cora. Are you prepared for her to hate you if this backfires? I'm prepared for her to understand, eventually. Right now, she can't see what she's walking into. But money has a way of revealing character. He nodded slowly. 2 weeks for a complete draft. Then we'll need notarization, witness signatures, the full process. Do it. We shook hands. I left his office feeling purposeful for the first time since that restaurant dinner. Later that week, I was at my flagship location in Littleton, southwest Denver, 12 bays running steady with afternoon work. 23 employees moving through their routines, diagnostic equipment humming, the organized chaos of a well-run operation. James Sullivan arrived to pick up his company vehicle. I'd held the service contract for Summit Properties Group's fleet for 5 years now, built on reliability and fair pricing. He found me in the office reviewing invoices. Orval, vehicle ready? Just finishing the paperwork. Walk with me. We moved through the facility, past bays where technicians worked under hydraulic lifts, past the parts department where inventory lined metal shelves floor to ceiling. James took it in, the scale of it. Your operation here is impressive. 12 locations now. I remember when you had 3. Growth takes time. Nicholas knows what you've built, right? Cora's fiancé? I handed him his keys. Nicholas knows I work in auto repair. That's enough for him. James pocketed the keys, hesitated. Funny you mentioned Nicholas. Got a wedding invitation from him. Says he's marrying into your family. My daughter, June 21st at the Manor House. Interesting. James shifted his weight. Nicholas invited half the business community, trying to impress someone. Called me twice about investment opportunities. Networking hard. I filed that information away, thanked James for his business, watched him drive off. Then I made a call. Marcus, can you run a discreet financial background check on Nicholas Whitmore? Legal consideration for potential family business matters. I'll have something by Monday. Monday came. Marcus called with results. Nicholas had taken a $45,000 personal loan 2 months ago. The Manor House appeared on the lending documents as collateral justification. He was drowning in debt to throw a wedding that served as social capital, using Cora as his entry ticket to the business circles he wanted to penetrate. The irony tasted sharp. Nicholas mocked my finances while leveraging borrowed money for appearances. Everything I'd suspected confirmed in black and white. That evening, I drove past the Manor House. Nicholas's BMW sat in the parking lot, probably inside finalizing details he couldn't afford, spending money he didn't have to impress people who'd forget him the moment the open bar closed. 3 weeks later, I returned to Marcus's office. The documents were ready. Thick stack of legal papers, notary seal prepared. Marcus spread them across the conference table. Pages fanned out like playing cards. Sign here, here, and here. He pointed to marked tabs. The moment Cora signs her marriage certificate, these become active. She'll own everything. I picked up the pen, my hand steady. Marcus watched me. You're giving away $8.5 million on a bet that Nicholas will prove you right. I signed the first page. Not a bet, a certainty. The weeks after signing the documents passed in careful preparation. 2 weeks before the wedding, my phone rang while I was reviewing inventory at my Aurora location. Nicholas's name flashed on the screen. I answered. Background noise immediately. Colleagues talking, printer running, his office environment leaking through. Orval, we need to discuss logistics for the wedding. No greeting, no courtesy, just commands delivered like I worked for him. I'm listening. That truck of yours, the F-150, you can't drive that to the Manor House. It'll look terrible in the parking lot. I said nothing. Let the silence stretch. Let him fill it. And please dress appropriately. Rent a suit if you need to. Something that doesn't scream budget. Each word calculated to wound, delivered with casual cruelty. I kept my voice level. I'll arrive in what I drive. I'll wear what I own. His tone sharpened. You don't understand. My business partners will be there. Investors. People who matter. I matter, Nicholas. I'm her father. Long pause. Then he exploded. I don't want them thinking I married into poverty. Is that clear enough? Cora deserves better than being associated with someone who fixes cars for a living. Do you have any idea what this wedding cost me? $45,000. I'm not letting you ruin it because you're too stubborn to rent a decent car for one afternoon. In the background, Cora's voice. Nick, who are you talking to? Nicholas didn't cover the phone. Your father, he's being difficult. I waited for her to defend me, to say something, anything, just silence, then footsteps walking away. I'll be there, I said, as I am. I hung up, pulled out my secondary phone, stopped the recording app. Colorado's a one-party consent state. Every word documented. 7 days before the wedding, Cora called in the evening. I was home, reading through the transfer documents one more time. Dad, her voice tight, rehearsed. I talked to Linda and Robert today. About? Photography logistics. Family photo arrangements. She rushed the next part. They suggested maybe you could stand off to the side during formal photos. Just for the main shots. Stand off to the side. To keep the aesthetic cohesive. The aesthetic. My daughter, speaking their language now, parroting their values like she'd forgotten her own. It's not personal, she continued. It's just, you know how wedding photos are. Everyone needs to coordinate. What she meant, you don't match the image we're building. Do you agree with them? I asked. Longest pause of my life. Then, I just want everything to go smoothly. Not a denial, an evasion, somehow worse. You'll have your smooth wedding, I said. I'll stand wherever they tell me to stand. Thank you for understanding. I hung up before saying something I'd regret. After the call, I sat in Elizabeth's living room, the documents spread across the coffee table she'd picked out 20 years ago. I opened the folder, reviewed the transfer papers again. Everything ready. 12 properties valued at $8.5 million. Full ownership transferring to Cora the day after her wedding. 3-year reversion clause if the marriage dissolved. I picked up my phone, texted Marcus, "Proceed as planned. See you at the wedding." His reply came immediately. "Confirmed. Papers will be ready for post-ceremony signing." I looked at the photo on the mantel. Cora at 10, both of us covered in motor oil, laughing at something long forgotten. The girl who'd been proud of her father, who'd understood that working with your hands meant building something real. That girl was gone. The woman marrying Nicholas couldn't see past appearances to the substance beneath. Pain now, understanding later. That's what I was banking on. 3 days before the wedding, I had my suit dry cleaned. The same JCPenney suit from the restaurant meeting. Simple, inexpensive, exactly what they expected. I washed and detailed my F-150 myself. Spent 3 hours in my driveway with soap and wax and careful attention to every surface. My shop manager drove past, saw me working, pulled over. "Boss, why are you detailing your own vehicle? We've got guys for that." "Some things you do yourself." He nodded, confused but respectful. Drove on. I checked the wedding invitation one more time. June 21st, 4 p.m. ceremony. The Manor House. Dress code printed at the bottom in elegant script. Black tie preferred. My simple suit wouldn't meet that standard. I knew. I was counting on it. 2 days before, I drove past the Manor House. Setup crew installing lighting, arranging flowers, constructing the stage Nicholas had designed for maximum impression. The scale was massive. $45,000 borrowed, every penny visible in silk and crystal and imported roses. I picked up the finalized documents from Marcus's office personally, carried them home, stored them in my safe alongside the business formation papers from 40 years ago. Full circle. Everything I'd built, about to transfer to my daughter, with a single condition that would either save her or teach her. The night before the wedding, I ironed my own shirt, polished my own shoes, ritual preparation, soldier before battle. Wedding morning arrived clear and cold. I stood in my bathroom adjusting my tie in the mirror. The suit fit well enough. Clean, pressed, obviously inexpensive. Perfect. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. "I'm already at the venue. Front row, aisle seat. Ready when you are." I picked up my truck keys. Time to see what Nicholas had planned. The manor house sat on 20 acres of manicured grounds south of Denver, all white columns and sprawling gardens. I arrived just after 3, giving myself time before the 4 o'clock ceremony. The parking lot told the story Nicholas wanted. Luxury sedans, a few Teslas, one Maserati gleaming in afternoon sun, and my 15-year-old F-150. I pulled into the circular drive. Valets in formal attire watched my approach, confusion crossing their faces. The young one stepped forward, hesitating. "Sir, are you—" "With the wedding party?" I handed over my keys. "Father of the bride." His expression shifted from confusion to pity. He took the keys without another word. I walked toward the entrance, past clusters of arriving guests. Designer clothes, tailored tuxedos that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage had been, women in dresses worth thousands, men checking watches that could finance a year of college. Everyone polished, positioned, perfect. Me in my $200 JCPenney suit. The contrast deliberate. Visible, exactly as planned. Nicholas positioned himself near the entrance like a politician working a crowd, greeting guests, shaking hands, performing his role with practiced ease. He saw me approaching. His expression flickered, annoyance, then calculation, before settling into performance mode. He raised his voice so nearby guests would hear. "Orval, you made it. Wasn't sure you'd find the place." Laughter rippled through the group around him. He stepped forward, hand extended. "Everyone, this is my father-in-law. He's in automotive work." The pause before automotive work hung there, loaded with meaning. A well-dressed woman asked politely, "Which dealership?" Nicholas answered for me. "Oh, he's not in sales. He's more hands-on. Repairs, maintenance, that sort of thing." He gestured toward the entrance. "Family seating is inside. They'll show you where." Dismissal clear. Conversation over. Move along. Inside, the venue lived up to its reputation. Crystal chandeliers cascaded light across marble floors. Flowers filled every corner. Imported roses, orchids arranged in cascading displays. Everything screaming expensive taste and unlimited budget. A coordinator with a clipboard approached. "Name, please?" "Orval Hicks, father of the bride." She checked her list, expression carefully neutral. "Yes, right this way." She led me through the main ballroom. Prime seating near the front. Rows of elegant chairs arranged perfectly, each with a personalized calligraphy place card. We kept walking, past the middle rows, past the back rows, through a doorway into a side area, still visible to the ceremony space but clearly separated. 3 tables set up, labeled Family, Bride's Side, in generic printed cards, nearly adjacent to the catering entrance. Staff walked past carrying supplies, setting up service stations. "You'll be comfortable here," the coordinator said, overly bright. "Close to refreshments." Translation, hidden from view near the service area, out of photographs. I sat, surveyed the room through the doorway. The main floor filled with Nicholas's guests, people radiating wealth and status. Then I spotted a familiar face, James Sullivan, 3 rows from front in the premium section. He scanned the room, stopped when he saw me in the side area. Our eyes met across the distance. His expression changed. Confusion, then dawning realization. He knew me as a successful business owner with 12 locations. He saw me seated with budget guests near the kitchen. He stood, started moving toward me. But the wedding coordinator's voice rang out. "Please take your seats. Ceremony, beginning in 5 minutes." James hesitated, sat back down, but he kept glancing toward me, the question visible on his face. "What's happening here?" I pulled out my phone, photographed my seating area, the view from my table. The generic place cards, while main floor guests had personalized calligraphy, documentation, evidence, all of it recorded. Music started, the processional beginning. From my side position, I watched guests stand, turned toward the aisle. Cora appeared in the entrance, beautiful in a white dress that probably cost $8,000. She didn't look toward the side area, didn't look for me. She walked down the aisle alone. Nicholas's suggestion. More modern, they'd said. More convenient, they meant. No father-daughter walk. No acknowledgement of the man who'd raised her alone after Elizabeth died. Nicholas stood at the altar, beaming, playing his role perfectly. I watched my daughter marry a man who demanded her father be hidden, and she'd agreed. A woman sat at my table, older, kind-faced. "I'm the bride's aunt, from her mother's side," she said quietly. "Apparently we're not photogenic enough for the main floor either." "Apparently not." Service staff walked past repeatedly during the ceremony. The disruption Nicholas claimed to prevent by seating me here was actually created by this arrangement. But it wasn't about logistics. Never was. I spotted Marcus in the audience, 4th row center. He saw me, gave a subtle nod. The witness in position. The officiant declared them married. Applause filled the room. Nicholas kissed Cora, both beaming. They walked back down the aisle together, accepting congratulations. As they passed the doorway to the side area, Nicholas glanced toward where I sat. Our eyes met for half a second. He smirked. Then they were gone, swept into the crowd of well-wishers. The coordinator announced, "Cocktail hour on the terrace while we prepare the reception space." I stood. Marcus appeared beside me. "Ready?" he asked quietly. "Not yet," I said. Let's see what he does next. The cocktail hour passed in a blur of champagne and forced mingling. By the time the reception began, Nicholas had worked through 3 glasses of bourbon. I watched from my corner table as he grew louder, bolder, his inhibitions dissolving with each drink. Dinner service complete, toasts finished, the reception in full swing. Nicholas at the head table, visibly intoxicated, gesturing wildly while talking to friends, his voice carrying across the room with that particular volume drunk people achieve. Cora beside him looking uncomfortable but not intervening. I remained at my segregated table. Marcus Chen sat nearby, catching my eye with a questioning look. James Sullivan at his premium table, periodically glancing toward my section with visible confusion. The physical separation of spaces now glaringly obvious to anyone paying attention. Nicholas stood abruptly, nearly knocking over his chair, grabbed his drink, gestured to his friends. "Come on, let me introduce you to my father-in-law." The group weaved through tables toward my section, performance clearly planned, guests noticed, conversations paused, attention shifting. Nicholas arrived with his entourage, speaking loud enough for half the room to hear. "Gentlemen, allow me to present Orval Hicks, finest mechanic in the Denver area." His friends laughed on cue. Well-rehearsed cruelty. "He's more comfortable with grease than champagne, aren't you, Orval? Different worlds, you know." He gestured at his tuxedo, then at my simple suit. "But hey, he showed up. That's what counts." One friend played along. "You know, Nick, I've been thinking. A man who works with his hands probably feels out of place at an event like this. All this refinement, all these successful people." Nicholas nodded sagely. "Exactly. Nothing wrong with knowing your place. I respect that about working-class folks. They understand their limits." He made a show of loosening his bow tie. "Is it hot in here, or is it just me?" Another friend. "All these people, all this perfume. Bit suffocating." Nicholas snapped his fingers like he'd had an idea. "You know what? Orval, there's a lovely courtyard outside. Might be more your speed. Fresh air, no crowd." He pointed toward the French doors leading outside. Through the glass. Snow falling, heavy and thick. The outdoor thermometer displayed clearly. -4 degrees Fahrenheit. Guests following the conversation realized what he was suggesting. Some laughed nervously. Others looked uncomfortable. Nicholas continued, emboldened. "Seriously, wouldn't you be more comfortable out there? Away from all this elite company? No pressure to keep up appearances? Come on, don't be shy. The courtyard's beautiful this time of year. Well, maybe not in a snowstorm at 4 below zero, but you're tough, right? Blue-collar tough?" He emphasized elite, like a weapon. His friends grinned, waiting for me to back down, to slink away in shame. I stood slowly, deliberately, took my napkin from my lap, folded it precisely, placed it on the table. Made eye contact with Nicholas. Didn't break it. The room quieted further, sensing confrontation. I looked past Nicholas toward the head table. Cora watching, face pale. Our eyes met across the distance. She looked down, said nothing, did nothing. That moment crystallized everything. I turned back to Nicholas. "Interesting suggestion, Nicholas. Very revealing." My tone perfectly calm. No anger, no defensiveness. The calmness somehow more unsettling than rage would be. Nicholas misread it as weakness, smirked wider. "See? He gets it. He knows when he's—" A voice cut across the room from the premium section. "Wait, hold on a minute." James Sullivan standing at his table, staring at me. Walking forward, expression shifting from confusion to recognition to disbelief. "Orval? Orval Hicks?" He stopped a few feet away, studying me. "You're the owner of Hicks Auto Service, aren't you?" The question dropped into the silence like a stone into still water. Nicholas laughed, but it sounded hollow. "What?" "No, he just works—" James cut him off. "I know him. We have contracts together. Orval Hicks. I thought that was you, but in this section I assumed—" "Wait." He looked around at the segregated seating, the side area placement back at me. "You own Hicks Auto Service. The whole chain. 12 locations across Colorado." Nicholas turned to me, face flushing darker than the alcohol alone would explain. "What are you talking about? He's just a mechanic. He fixes cars. Cora told me." James shook his head slowly. "He doesn't fix cars. He owns the company. I've been signing checks to Hicks Auto Service for 5 years." Other guests started pulling out phones. The whispers spread. Nicholas looked at me. I said nothing, just waited. The silence stretched like a wire pulled too tight. Nicholas's face cycled through expressions: confusion, denial, dawning horror. Around us, phones lit up as guests started searching. James spoke louder, addressing the room as much as Nicholas. Hicks Auto Service, 12 locations. Aurora, Littleton, Westminster, Thornton, Lakewood, Inglewood. He listed locations from memory. Each name landed like a hammer blow. We have a fleet maintenance contract. 70 vehicles. Annual contract value over $200,000. A businessman at a nearby table looked up from his phone. He's right. I'm looking at the company website. Orval Hicks, founder and CEO. Another guest reading from LinkedIn. Founded 1985. Grew from single bay operation to regional chain. Estimated business value $8 to $10 million. A woman at James's table. There's an industry article here. Local success story. How Orval Hicks built a multi-million-dollar business, one repair at a time. The information spread through the room like wildfire. Phone to phone. Whisper to whisper. Nicholas's face drained of color. Visibly paled. He looked at Cora. You said he was just a mechanic. You said... Cora's mouth opened. Closed. No words came out. She knew. Everyone could see she knew. Linda Whitmore's voice cut from the head table. Shrill. Cora, is this true? Robert stood, walked toward the group, tablet in hand. I'm looking at the Colorado Secretary of State Business Registry. Orval Hicks, registered agent for Hicks Auto Service, LLC. Primary owner. Nicholas stumbled backward. But the truck, the clothes, the... His friends who'd laughed earlier now backing away, distancing themselves. Nicholas turned to me. You lied. You pretended to be... I spoke for the first time since standing. My voice carried across the silent room. I didn't lie. I answered every question honestly. You asked what I do. I work in automotive repair. I do. Every day. Pause, letting that sink in. My daughter asked me not to discuss the business. I respected her wishes. She wanted to see how you'd treat a father-in-law you thought had nothing. I looked at Cora. You showed us exactly who you are, Nicholas. Not just me. Everyone here. Cora's face crumbled, caught between two narratives. Nicholas tried to recover. This is a misunderstanding. I never meant... It was just jokes. Wedding humor. The outside thing? Obviously kidding. Who would actually... James cut in. You told him to sit in a snowstorm at 4 below zero. That wasn't humor. Other guests murmured agreement. The mood turned completely. The woman from my relegated table stood. He put all the bride's family back here by the kitchen, like we weren't good enough. Another voice. The valet parking. The separate seating. The dress code comments. Witnesses coming forward now, each remembering small cruelties they'd dismissed. Nicholas spinning, trying to find an ally. Someone back me up here. This is being blown out of proportion. His friends silent, studying their shoes. His parents frozen. Their social calculation visible. Defend their son or preserve their reputation. A guest reading from her phone. Forbes Small Business Feature 2023. Orval Hicks represents the American success story, built from nothing through determination and integrity. James to the room. 12 locations, over 100 employees, multi-million-dollar operation, and you sat him by the kitchen like hired help. Nicholas desperate now. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? Cora never told me. This isn't my fault. I looked at him steadily. She gave you every chance to treat me with basic respect. You didn't need to know my bank account for that. Linda Whitmore turned on Cora, accusatory. You let us humiliate ourselves. You watched us insult a millionaire at our own son's wedding. Cora sobbing now. I didn't think it would... I looked at Cora one last time. She was crying, hands over her face, shoulders shaking. Nicholas trying to approach her. She pulled away. I spoke, not to Nicholas, but to the room. I came to my daughter's wedding. I sat where I was told. I stayed quiet while being mocked. Not because I'm weak, because I wanted everyone to see the truth. I turned to leave. Walked through the center of the ballroom this time, not the side exit. Guests parted to let me through. Several nodded respectfully as I passed. James touched my arm. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You understand now. That's what matters. Marcus appeared at my side near the exit. The papers? Tomorrow. Let tonight settle first. I spoke my final words before crossing the threshold. You wanted to know if I was worthy of your elite company, Nicholas. Turns out you needed to prove you were worthy of mine. You failed. I walked out the main entrance, down the steps, into the snow, reached my truck as snow collected on my shoulders. Behind me, the manor house glowed with light and music, the party continuing in shock. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. She's going to call you soon. Don't answer tonight. Let her think. I started the engine. Through the falling snow, I could see figures in the windows, silhouettes arguing, gesturing. One separated from the others, smaller, moving toward the exit. Cora, coming after me. The morning after the wedding, my phone started ringing at 6 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. Nicholas called 4 more times before I finally answered on the 5th. I was at my kitchen table, coffee cooling in my favorite mug, watching the phone buzz against the wood surface. Picked it up. Orville, please, we need to talk. Last night I made a terrible mistake. Nicholas's voice came through desperate, trembling between anger and fear. Background quiet. He was alone somewhere, probably locked in a bathroom or office, hiding from Cora. The alcohol. The stress of the wedding. I wasn't thinking clearly. Everyone says things they don't mean when they're drinking. You understand that, right? I said nothing. Let him fill every pause with increasingly desperate explanations. The business contacts? The reputation damage? Do you know what this does to me professionally? People I've worked with for years saw that. They're calling, asking questions, making assumptions. Still I waited. I'm trying to make this right here, to explain, to apologize. Are you finished? I'm trying to apologize here. No. You're trying to manage damage. There's a difference. Silence on his end. Then, what happened between you and Cora is between you and Cora. Not my business anymore. But I need you to... People think I cut him off. They think exactly what you showed them. That's not my problem to fix. Before hanging up, I added one more thing. By the way, Cora received her wedding gift yesterday. Documents transferring ownership of all 12 Hicks Auto Service locations to her name. Completely legal. My attorney handled everything. Silence on the line. I could hear him breathing, processing. What? 12 locations. You gave her $8.5 million worth of business. Yes, it's hers now. I ended the call before he could respond. Immediately phoned Marcus. He knows about the transfer. Took him less than 12 hours. That's faster than I expected. How long until he shows his true colors? Marcus's voice went grim. Based on what you told me about his loan? Days, not weeks. Money makes people impatient. I settled in to wait. The test had truly begun. Over the next week, I received brief texts from Cora. Nicholas is acting strange. He keeps asking about the business paperwork. Wants to meet with our accountant. That possessive pronoun, notable. Then, he's being really attentive. Too attentive. Something feels wrong. I didn't respond. Let her observe and process on her own. The transformation exactly as predicted. Nicholas had switched from contempt to excessive interest overnight. No genuine affection. Just transparent greed wrapped in false concern. A week after the wedding, Cora arrived unannounced at my house. Her car, Nicholas's BMW, telling that she was driving his vehicle, parked in the driveway. She looked exhausted. Makeup smudged from crying. Walked in without knocking, like when she was young. Dad, we need to talk. She sat at the kitchen table where we'd had that phone conversation months ago. Full circle. Nicholas has been different. Ever since you told him about the business. Her voice broke. He wants me to sign papers making the shop's marital property. Says it's about trust and partnership. He's drawn up documents. Had his own lawyer prepare them. Keeps pushing me to sign. She looked up at me. This was a test, wasn't it? You wanted to see what he'd do. I pulled out the original contract, slid it across the table, pointed to specific language highlighted in bold. If your marriage lasts 3 years, the business is permanently yours. But if you divorce before then, everything reverts to me. Nicholas can't touch it either way. She stared at the words. You built a trap, for him, to prove what he really wants. I built a mirror, so you could see clearly. Her finger traced the 3-year clause. So if I divorce him now, you get everything back? Yes. And if I stay with him knowing what he is, I get to keep millions but live a lie? I let her sit with that impossible choice. Finally, she looked up. What would you do? I stood, rinsed my coffee cup. I can't answer that. This is your decision. Your life. Your marriage. She folded the contract slowly. I need time to think. 2 weeks, I gave her. 2 weeks to see if she'd learned anything. Those 2 weeks revealed everything I needed to know about Nicholas. Cora called me 3 times, each conversation shorter than the last, each confirming what I had already understood. The third call ended with 5 words. Dad, I need Marcus's number. I returned to normal routines, managing shops, reviewing contracts, living my life. The calls came in intervals. First week. He's making spreadsheets about the business, profit projections, expansion plans. Keeps saying we need to modernize, we should leverage the assets. We could sell half and invest. Always we. Never acknowledging it was solely hers. Second week, the calls grew darker. He got angry when I said I wanted to wait before making any decisions. Asked why I'm being difficult. Said I'm being ungrateful after everything he's done. Third call, her voice different. Colder, clearer. I told him no, definitively. No shared ownership, no signing documents, no business decisions without me learning the operation first. She described his reaction. He stopped pretending. Just stopped. Started yelling about wasted opportunities, stupid decisions, how I don't understand what I have. Said marrying me was supposed to be his breakthrough, his entry into real wealth. The words that broke through called me a disappointment, just like my mechanic father. That phrase, the same contempt, now turned on her. I'm done, Dad. I need a divorce attorney. Can I use Marcus? I texted her his number immediately. Marcus took her case, moved quickly. We'll file this week. Colorado allows no-fault divorce, but given the circumstances, we can expedite. Nicholas attempted to fight, filed counterclaims, demanded portions of marital assets. His lawyer argued the business gift should be considered marital property. Marcus demolished every argument. Gift made pre-marriage. Documentation solid. Conditional clause explicitly prevented spousal claims. Nicholas tried everything. Mediation demands. Settlement negotiations. Threatening litigation. Each attempt failed against the ironclad contract Marcus had drafted. By mid-August, the divorce finalized. Marriage lasted barely 2 months. The contract's reversion clause activated automatically. All 12 shops returned to my ownership. I heard through James Sullivan what happened to Nicholas professionally. The wedding story had spread through Denver's business community. People are calling him the guy who insulted a millionaire at his own wedding, James told me over coffee. His firm quietly suggested he seek opportunities elsewhere. His parents are embarrassed, distancing themselves publicly. The $45,000 wedding loan came due. No Cora, no business, no money, still the debt. Everything Nicholas wanted to achieve through the marriage, lost. Everything he'd mocked me for having, revealed as his own reality. Actually struggling, actually fake, actually desperate. Late August afternoon, I was working at my original shop in Littleton, the one I'd opened 40 years ago. 12 service bays, hydraulic lifts, diagnostic equipment humming with afternoon work. Cora arrived, looked different, stronger, clearer-eyed. We walked through the facility together. I explained operations. She actually listened now, asked real questions. We sat in the small office where I'd started, drank coffee from the same pot I'd used for decades. I slid new documents across the desk. Full ownership transfer, no conditions this time. It's yours, for real now. No tests, no clauses. You've earned it. She started to cry. I'm so sorry. For everything. For choosing him. For being ashamed. I stopped her. You learned. That's what matters. Most people never figure out the difference between what glitters and what's actually gold. She wiped her eyes. I thought success meant impressing people like Nicholas. People with the right clothes. The right connections. I was so stupid. You were young. Now you're learning. There's a difference. Will you teach me? About the business, I mean? Really teach me. Not just the paperwork, but the actual work. I stood, grabbed 2 sets of coveralls from the hook, tossed one to her. First lesson starts now. We've got a transmission to rebuild in Bay 3. She caught the coveralls, held them like something precious. We sat in that office for another hour first, discussing expansion plans, market opportunities, operational improvements. She had ideas, good ones, smart observations about customer service, about building loyalty, about reputation. At some point, she asked about the F-150 parked outside. Still driving it? Every day. Runs perfectly. I take care of what's mine. She smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in months. I didn't build this business to prove anything to anyone. I built it because I'm good at what I do, and I treat people right. That's the only success that matters. We walked out onto the shop floor together, father and daughter, both knowing what matters. The gold, not the gilding. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.